My name's Ashanti, and I'm gonna tell you a story about getting played. Now, this is before I was even worried about girls or relationships. I was in elementary school, probably fifth grade, at a school in Oakland Hills called Grass Valley. It's a fancy school in the fancy part of town. I came from the heartland, the flatlands of Oakland, up to this fancy school on the bus every morning and down the hill on the way back home. From the apartments to the houses, that you can tell the difference of where the environment is. But what I remember is most prominently from those years of being up in the hills was that just, the kids, they kind of treated you different. They knew that you didn't live up there. They all knew each other from, that elementary school all the way through. I'm new, and I'm coming up on the bus every morning. So one night, I get a phone call. This is like phone attached to the wall phones, right? This is like you got to be near the wall where the phone is attached to the wall. Now, you may have a long cord that kind of winds up, coils up. But I didn't get many phone calls. I only had like one or two friends that I would ever call ever. But, phone calls are not necessarily that long. But this night in particular, I get a call. My mom said, the phone for you is a phone call for you. I'm like, huh? For me? Like, who's calling me? And it was a girl from our school, same grade, different class. Everyone knew this girl. I don't remember her name, but I do remember, she was popular. Now, on this call, she said, like, hey, do you know that I really like you? I'm like, huh? Now, imagine you're, let me see, I was say fourth grade, fifth grade. So say I was 9 or 10. Now, I am in shock, first of all, that you're telling me that you like me because we're not even in the same class. How do you know me? We never talk. I see you. Like, I can't miss you. But how do you know me? And she's like, oh, no, I've been watching you. I've been doing, this is etched in my brain, the words she was saying to me, because I had never felt this kind of emotion before. Now, I'm into wrestling. I watch wrestling on Saturday mornings. I'm a big brother. I got 2 siblings. I'm a caretaker. I make breakfast for my siblings. I cook dinner for them, help them with their homework. Like, I'm a domesticated little boy, right? So this is like something new. So I'm like, huh? Like, kind of shocked, but also getting excited. She's like, yeah, tomorrow at lunch during recess, I'm gonna hang out with you. Because normally recess I just play football up on the upper level. Like, I'm like, okay, and she's saying all these things that are like got my attention, right, and got my emotions tied up. I'm laying on the floor, like, on the phone. I remember just being on the phone. We were on the phone for a little while. But I remember what was going to happen the next day is that I was supposed to come and see her while we line up, in line. So we had to line up in lines to go into the building. She's in that line over there. I'm in this line over here because we're in 2 different classes. And I can't sleep. Like, that night, I just remember being like, oh, my goodness, like, I'm going to have, like, a girlfriend? Like, what is going on? So I remember getting to school the next day. Like, we don't have fancy clothes. So I'm wearing, I think I probably got double starched my stuff. That spray starch, you just spray. I double starched my clothes that day. Came to school like super juiced. And we're in line and she's not saying anything to me. She hasn't said anything to me yet. I see her over there and I'm like, am I supposed to go over to her? I didn't grow up with a father around, so I ain't got no game. I ain't got no riz. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Ashanti kid from the flatlands who was up in the hills with all these fancy kids. That's in my mind. That's how I'm seeing the differences that are happening. But I'm also like, I'm more of a hothead sometimes than I am like anything else, but I'm not, I don't start problems. I don't start trouble. And so she's over there. And so in the morning, she doesn't say anything to me. And I'm like a little awkward. So I don't really know that I'm going to go over and say anything to her. So I just go to class. I said, well, maybe at recess. Maybe at recess is when I'll say something because I'm just like kind of confused. So recess happens. You run out to recess. Everyone just scatters. I'm by the swings on the lower level, upper levels where they play football. And I'm not playing that day because I'm about to have an encounter. With a woman, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm prepared. So I'm hovering where I think I normally see her hang out at. I see her around, but it's not like I'm like looking out for her before this call. But now I'm like, where is she? nowhere to be found. Nowhere. I don't know where she. I go up to where they're playing football. I don't want to play because I'm supposed to be having this encounter. And so I come back down, the bell rings, recess over, we get in line, and now she's toward the back of the line. And so I walk over there, and I was like, hey. I said, hi. And she's like, why are you talking to me? Ooh, I feel it. Oh. That's old stuff. This is old stuff. You over this, Ashanti? You over this, aren't you? Of course you are. There's one thing to be over it, and another thing to like kind of come to a place of like remembering like little feelings, like big feelings when you were little. Like most times I tell the story from a funny place. So I'm trying to tell it from a funny place because it was kind of funny, but I'm also, as I was telling you, as I'm remembering her look at me and say, why are you talking to me? That moment just came back. I think there's a deep connection between the work I get to do today, the work I have the pleasure to do today, working with young people, because I know what it's like to feel pain. Not only do I know what it's like to feel pain, like that it is close by. It's close by. Like I'll never forget kind of like the way she looked at me. I'm not seeing her face. I don't even know. I can't even really see her face. I see her entity. I see the meanness, like, and then that's just the beginning of where it all went all south, right? Because what had happened was a lot of people who were in line watching me, who are now laughing at me, were on the call. This is like right after Three Ways had kind of got started. Because some of you like, what? This is like, what year is this? This is like early 80s. Three Ways had just started, right? So people could be on a call, and you could have people on a call and a call and a call. Like they call them, and then they call them, and then they that was Three Ways, right? So there was a bunch of people on the phone who was hearing me have this conversation with her. Now I don't got no game, so I'm not doing no fancy talk. I'm just like being a nice guy. And I remember all of a sudden they were like, "Oh, you thought I liked you?" And then the laughter and the embarrassment and the shame and the feeling of like, and I remember like feeling like there was no room in my community for embarrassment for too long. There was no room for feeling sad or feeling a little bit of like, there was a lot of room for anger. And so anger started coming toward the surface. Like then the sadness had to get tucked away real fast. Like I got a tear here today right now remembering it, because inside that little boy who was standing there was sad. But there's no room for sadness. You definitely can't cry in front of this crowd. So I turned it all into anger, and I was like, beep, 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 right? And that's what it turned into. And everybody who was on the call like, "Oh, you thought G liked you," and I remember just like it. I didn't get suspended that day. Thank goodness, right? I didn't get suspended that day. I didn't fight that day. I think I was still on the level of embarrassment towards the level of anger. That anger didn't have a lot of room to come through, but I know I was cussing a lot. I was cussing at people like, F this, F that, F you, blah, blah, blah. Now, I don't know if I ever F you'd her. I think I know who put her up to it, her cousin, who I had probably gotten suspended with several times for fighting. But anyway, all that to say, the stories that I'm thinking of, the stories that I kind of go back to are these monumental moments of journey of the life. Elementary school was a challenging time. Me being in a different school, me trying to fit in, me trying to just be liked. I think everybody wants to be liked. What happens when you don't, you're in a new place that people don't know you or don't get you or you don't have the coolest stuff, and so therefore they know that you're, poor. There's one thing to be in a city of Oakland. Not everyone is poor in Oakland. I mean, there's people who can live in the hills in Oakland, and fancy, nice houses, and people who don't. There's a difference there. There's been a difference before I went to Grass Valley, but I know that was a big part of my journey. And so when I go into schools and I talk to students and I see 10-year-olds and 12-year-olds make masks and they talk about sadness and they talk about fear and they talk about worry. I get it. I'm trying to see if there's a mask here of a younger person because we have a lot of them. Here's one. Here's one that we picked up from, I think, Starbucks, from one of our pop-ups. The front says, fun, funny, and kind. It's the front of the mask. This is a not 8-year-old boy, 3rd grade, maybe 4th, depending on the age. And the back of the mask, sad, mad, unhappy. See that? Man. I know what that's like. So it's not that because I make a bunch of masks with people, it's one thing, because I ask a lot of questions, because I don't know who this boy is, but I do know that an 8-year-old boy understands what it's like to want to have fun and be funny and be kind on the outside, but on the back of the mask, the sad, mad, unhappy, those are the things that doesn't get to talk about. I get it.